you're not healing your inner child, you're healing the relationship with your inner child. There's so many misconceptions flying around inner child work, and I want to give you like a very clear, structured insight in how you can access your inner child through the body and what inner child healing really means. Because as I said in the beginning, it's not about healing the inner child. Your inner child is not broken. It's about healing your relationship you have towards it. And I believe if we enter the space, the relational space between you and this orphaned, this exiled inner child archetype with warmth, we can give the inner child what it actually lacked in the past. And this is what's causing various disruptions and various pains in our current life. So before we get into the nitty-gritties of inner child healing, let me explain a few of the concepts that I find critically overlooked when we talk about inner child healing. So there's three things. The first thing is we have to talk about the past, because the past is something that is happening in the present moment. The past is not real outside of our heads. When we talk about the past and something that has happened to us in the past, we are relating to a fantasy that is going on in our heads in the here and now. And that is not a bad thing. I just want to be very, very clear and be very precise in the language that we're using, because we often relate to the past and we speak about the past and converse about the past as if it was a real thing, but it's a concept. It's a thought. It's a tremendously powerful thought, and there's memories and a substantial amount of emotions and archetypes and parts and all of that connected to that concept. I don't want to downplay the significance of the past, but I want to make a point here, and that is the past is happening in the present. And the same thing is true for childhood. When we talk about our childhood, we don't talk about a fixed thing. We talk about a fluid concept that is going on in our heads. The childhood is not real. The childhood is something that's happening in the here and now. And because it's happening in the here and now, we can change the relational qualities that we have towards childhood, and thus also changing the fantasy, the concept that we have about our childhood. So you can almost imagine the inner children that we work with are parts of the past that are carried into the present through our somatic imprints. And in the present moment, we can start relating to it anew. So what I'm saying is that whatever terrible bad thing happened to you in the past, it's still playing out in the here and now. And in the here and now, you have the power to relate to it in a new way and give the parts that were disturbed, that were terrified through past experiences, a new corrective experience in the here and now. So that's the first thing. We have to talk about the past. The second thing is you don't have just one inner child. You have multiple inner children that are stretched out throughout multiple years of your development. So you have an inner baby. Many people like Stanislav Grof assume that even pre-birth inner children are playing out in your psyche. You have inner teenagers, you have an inner 8-year-old, 9-year-old. You don't have just one inner child, you have multiple inner children within you throughout the span of your life that also have different needs. Because if you look at a teenager, for example, he or she will have totally different needs than a baby, for example. And this is causing us to have multiple parts with multiple needs within us, and these needs are also playing out in our inner life. So if we assume we have an inner teenager within us, that part will play out in teenager or covert teenager behavior. It will trying to be cool, it will be trying to look good and maybe please others and be part of the gang. Maybe you have been bullied around that time, and there's a part in you that is carrying that weight still. So we want to be investigative, and we want to keep in mind that we don't just have one inner child. We have multiple inner children within an age span, so to speak. The third thing is that Our body is the doorway to our childhood rooms. And I mean that quite literally. So our inner children are happening in our subconscious. They are trapped behind their childhood doors. And they are seeking to be rescued from their childhood rooms. Oftentimes it's also caves when we go into the active imagination of going like to our exiled and orphaned inner children. It's caves or childhood rooms. And the rooms are usually closed, and the child is waiting for someone adult, mature, warm, and open-hearted to pick it up and rescue it. How does the inner child knock on that door in order to get our attention? It is through tension and through intense emotions in our body and through repeating life patterns. So our body, especially the tension, especially the feelings that we find really hard to bear, are the language of the inner child. Sensations, energies, what we also call transverbal language, like a language that exceeds mere speaking, that is happening in the subtle energies of our bodies. This is the realm in which the inner child is communicating, also in our imagination through our wishes and desires and our projections and all of this. But in this video, we want to primarily focus on the embodied experience of the inner child. So, the bedroom doors, the childhood room doors, are happening in the here and now. They are carried from the past into the present within our body. And like I said, the tension is the portal to the inner child. The emotion is the portal to our inner child. So the point of inner child healing is not to heal the inner child. That might seem contradictory, but it's a really, really important point. We are not healing the inner child. The inner child is good the way it is. That's actually the essence of the child archetype, is innocence. The child is not doing anything wrong. The context in which it's embedded in is deciding whether something is wrong or not, but the child is inherently innocent. It's good the way it is. So we're not healing the inner child, but what it is we're healing then when we talk about inner child healing? We're healing the relationship we have towards the inner child, because the relationship to the inner child was ruptured in the past. There was a feeling of coldness and maybe distance. Maybe the inner child was objectified. Maybe it was used for the needs of the caretakers. Like the caretaker's cup was not full, and it tried to fill the cup with the sweetness and the lovely qualities of the child. So there was a rupture happening in the relationship. That trauma happened in relationship, and it can only be healed through relationship. It's like the relational cord has been cut. It's like the door to the childhood room was closed forever. And what we want to do is we want to open the childhood room and tell the child that is maybe looking at us terrified because it's expecting some sort of explosion, some sort of unsafety to enter the room. It's looking at us, and we want to open the room as mature, warm individuals. And then something new is flowing into the relational space. It's like a warm river is slowly dissolving into the relational space with the inner child, and the child that was frozen in fear begins to thaw. The ice begins to melt through the warmth we can bring towards the child in the work that we do, in relating to it in a new way. So we want to move from pathologizing the inner child and speaking about it like it is a symptom. And again, like the sensations in our body, pain in our body, emotional like hardship in our body. This is the language of the inner child. And we're used to pathologizing this. We're used to say, this is a symptom that I'm suffering from. And what we do through that is we very subtly are pushing away that emotion. or that sensation that is coming up. We're basically telling it you're now not allowed to be here. And that may ring a bell because maybe what the child within has experienced over and over again, and what caused it even to like retract into the childhood room and never leave again, was exactly that, was hearing you're not okay the way you are. So if we're relating to ourselves and to our symptoms and to our pain in the same way, we are restaging the original trauma. So we want to change that. We want to move from symptom and pathology to seeing whatever is happening in our body, whatever language the inner child is using to like gain our awareness. We want to see that as a need. The inner child has a need. It's almost like what's stored in these tensions, what's stored in these moments where the inner child is knocking at our door, are unfinished circles. It's like a movement that wants to be like fulfilled towards the end, and it's been stopped midway through. It's like the inner child is reaching out for a hand, and it's stopped midway through because it felt like if I keep on reaching out, I will be hurt. It's not safe to do that. So we want to see whatever pain we experience, whatever emotional hardship we experience, as an invitation to fulfill a need that hasn't been fulfilled in the past, that hasn't been fulfilled in childhood. And again, childhood is something that's happening in the here and now. So in the here and now, if the child is still reaching out its hand, we can take that hand and we can carry it into a more safe space. This is what inner child healing is about symbolically. So we relate to a piece of the past through the warmth that this piece lacked. There was a lack of warmth, and that is why the child slowly froze. And we want to relate to it with warmth, with the warmth it needs to feel safe. So this is about emotional attunement. What happens in childhood and what is often causing like traumatic disruptions, like what we call developmental trauma, is a misattunement towards the child. So the child is behaving in a certain way, and instead of the parents tuning in, instead of doing that, they are cutting the relational cord, and they are leaving the relational space, leaving the outreach of the child that wants like closeness and wants to be seen, halted and stopped. It's like the child is still standing here reaching out its hand, but nobody's there that is so attuned to see that it's even reaching out, that it even has a need. And that's tragic for most people. And for most people, the child is still standing there lonely, waiting for someone to rescue it, to pick it up. So it's about attunement. You can also imagine that a child is singing one melody and the caretaker is listening, and it decides, I don't like that melody. So instead of singing along and tuning in and creating a harmony, like maybe a layered melody, it chooses to sing something else, sing a completely different song, and thus disturb the inner child. And the child is thinking, oh, that sounds strange. That doesn't sound like me. Maybe I'll stop singing altogether. Or maybe I'll follow the melody that the caretaker is giving me. And I forget my own melody very slowly. Like the light of my soul, the melody of my soul gets dampened, gets quieter and quieter and quieter until it's no longer audible. And all the child does is following someone else's melody. What we do in inner child healing is we are recovering the original melody that the child has forgotten. And we're deciphering whether the melody the child is singing in the here and now is its own or is another melody. If the beliefs that the inner child is carrying are a reaction of the past, like of to someone else, to a situation of unsafety, or if these beliefs are even taken from someone else. Maybe they're not entirely them. So We want to create a home for our inner orphans. We want to be the father that our inner child never had. We want to be the mother that the inner child never had. And there's two things here. Yes, the inner child needs warmth, needs a safe relationship always. The inner child needs like physical closeness, needs to hear that it's okay the way it is. That's the feminine, the more mothering, the more nurturing side of the equation. And at the same time, the child needs a form of commitment, needs a form of structure, needs a form of support, needs someone that believes in their dreams. The child needs someone that explains that if it did a mistake, that it's not wrong, but that it could be improved. For example, if a child has a football match and it's, standing right in front of the goal, it's super excited and it's shooting, and the ball is not going into the goal, but it's maybe the keeper like catches the goal. And the child is super sad afterwards, like, I really fucked it up. The more masculine way of dealing with this would be to say, you didn't fuck up. You're okay the way you are. You played a wonderful match and I believe in your qualities. And let's take a look at how you can improve your skills so the next goal will be yours. There's a loving, supporting energy of commitment and masculine stability in that. Because oftentimes our inner children are, for example, we do one meditation, like an inner child meditation, where we meet the inner child with open arms. It's like so happy that it's back, and there's like hugs and tears shed. And then nothing. The inner child needs structure and commitment. It needs to hear that somebody is there, that is like interested over a long period of time, that is coming back. And that is this masculine structure that I'm talking about. So the same thing is happening for our emotions, for our body in general, and for the tensions and pain that we feel. We need to act like it's an inner child that needs us, that is reaching out its hand. And there's these two ways that we can take that hand. The one is the more feminine quality of, okay, I'm here. You're okay the way you are. I love you. Giving that warm, loving energy and letting that flow into the relationship. And then also creating maybe the healthy boundaries that the inner child needs in order to thrive. Maybe there's even a healthy anger, like a healthy sense of not defensiveness, but like a wall that needs to be put around the child so it can feel more safe. Maybe it needs more structure. Maybe it needs like a worthwhile goal, like a deep meaning in their life to feel safe. Maybe the child doesn't just need that feminine nurturing love. Maybe it needs the masculine love as well. And that's true for our symptoms. So we not only give our symptoms all the love, like the masculine way of dealing with our hardships, may be emotional and physical, could mean that we do physical exercise, for example, that we tangibly and physically work with our symptoms, that we work with trigger points, that we stretch, that we work out, literally, that we get into the physical dimension. And it could also mean, again, creating a commitment, coming back, giving our symptoms and our body the idea, the impression that it can count on us, that there's like a rock in the waves that is never like going away, that is here. So the inner child is reaching out its hand, and it's both finding the masculine and the feminine safety. And this is true for our symptoms as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video on inner child healing, or inner like relational healing with the inner child. And if you like this video, I'll see you in the comment section. Let's have a discussion down there. like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you feel like it, then join our emotional release trainings. Because in these trainings, we're not only working with inner children, we're working with the whole body and the mind, the body-mind system, on a holistic level. And we teach you to work with other people, to become a practitioner that helps other people going through their hardships. And like, from my heart, this work changed my life. The academy that we've started, the Emotional Release Academy, is consisting of a few of my very best friends. And if you feel the call, then it would be very, very worthwhile to have you there. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. And if not in the academy, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.